Court Clerk, and David, if you can introduce yourself and your associates and then make whatever budget presentation you like, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to say thank you, if I could, to Talia and Kathy and Alicia back here from Budget Finance for their help in helping us get all this prepared. Mr. Hinote, Mr. Reebling, good to see both of you.
Always a pleasure.
I'm David Smith, the Juvenile Court Clerk, and with me today is Julia Sloss to my right, who is the Budget Analyst. Director of Operations, Ms. Tisa Phelps here, but next to me is our Office Manager, and a new introduction who Rich has met, but I don't believe the two of you have, Ms. Stephanie Burchett, who has taken over Haley Liss's position as our bookkeeping, in our bookkeeping department. We actually put a job search out, had 11 applicants, and we chose Stephanie, who came to us from Chattanooga from an auditing firm, from Putnam County originally, and loves Nashville and loves her job, and doing a great job.
Good.
Doing a great job, and I'll tell you about that here momentarily. We've had another great year in the clerk's office. We, for the third year in a row that I can speak of, we will exceed our projected revenue from last year. And I want to thank the staff for their hard work and dedication in making this possible again. We've got a very dedicated staff that enjoys coming to work and just enjoys everything they do. I want to take the time and opportunity also to thank Judge Crawford and the court staff for the great working relationship that we've got with them. They go above and beyond to help us, and we do them as well. But we started out the year from this time last year. I know we talked about an audit that was ongoing, and I think I made mention to you, I asked for the audit, and then I made mention at this table last year. I don't know why I did that, and you said, well, you need to use it as a learning tool, and that's what we did. And after the audit was completed in August, we got the results from that showed us that there were 3 areas that they stressed could use some improvement. And we have addressed those 3 areas and implemented improvements in all 3 of those areas. So our audit is completely clean to our knowledge from the August findings. They actually had put a survey box at our window, and we got a 78% favorable rating from the general public and attorneys who use the clerk's office, that we exceeded their expectations on the service and courteousness that we provided. So we were really happy with that. A few of our accomplishments over the last year, we have successfully now transitioned the 4D child support payments, which is the state-related cases, back over to the State Department of Human Services, where that is now paid through the child support receiving unit by mail, which is something that was set out, from my understanding, in a 1999 ruling, in a state statute ruling, that we would follow that procedure, and I just don't think it was ever implemented until about 6 months ago. The Circuit Court Clerk's Office here actually started following that procedure in 2006, and we were just a few years behind getting caught up in doing that as well. And we've it's worked really well for us. We just provide an envelope, a self-addressed stamped envelope, to the person when they do come to the window to make an attempt to pay, and they just put the check or money order, whatever, in the envelope and mail it straight to the child support receiving unit. So that's working really well for that. We're very close to being fully automated to the accounting and bookkeeping functions. I'd like to take this time to thank Natalie Stevens and Aaron Gray over at JIS for their help with this project. They're always there for us when we need them, and we'd like to thank them for that. We're still continuing to cross-train all the staff, which have been very helpful in bookkeeping and courtroom needs when the need arises and someone's out sick or something happens and they can't make it in. And we've always got somebody cross-trained that can go up and fill for them. We've got, you mentioned a moment ago about the clerks in the courtroom and circuit. We have 8 courtroom clerks that are in court daily. With the 7 magistrates and Judge Crawford, and they are assigned to that courtroom, and of course that relationship continues with each judge and clerk that's assigned to their court. We have Child support petitions are delivered to us each day from the state, and generally on the average of 30 to 40 a day, and we get those processed and out that same afternoon to the sheriff's office so that the process can be, the service can be processed and served on the respondent. So, you know, they can get in court and get the child support matters going. We've also begun, when available, when we have the resources available in forms of emails, the clerks are now emailing the signed orders to the attorneys so they can get them back at their office without having to come back by and pick them up at the clerk's window. We started doing that. With the help of the computer fund, which state legislature just raised the rate from $2 to $4 per filing, we've been able to provide a desktop scanner for all the clerks, both in the office and the courtroom, so that we are keeping up with our scanning project that was started 2 years ago that you're very familiar with due to the flood. So everything is still currently scanned as of today that comes across the counter and comes out of the courtrooms. We've also added, we had a young lady leave back in May, so we had an open position to fill when she left, and we filled that position with a young man who is actually taught Spanish in college, and he is, they had Rosa Alvarez left the court side when the buyout was offered, so that kind of created a void on the court side. So with him in our office now, not only helping at the counter, but also helping just in general in the common areas in the courthouse, it's helped out tremendously. So he's been a great addition to our office. Our goals are we want to continue training our staff in the areas and functions of the office so that everyone will be effective in all areas and all phases of the office. We're always looking for ways to improve service and process for all work which is filed with us. We're still talking with the state agencies about electronic filing, and we still can't get anyone to actually bend on sending wage assignments electronically. We still get a stack of those, like 100 a day, and literally 100 a day, and they're coming. I brought this to their attention 2 years ago. It's no telling how much money they could save in the state fund if they would do something besides put a postage stamp on 100 letters a day and send them over. Because if we're getting 100, Shelby County's probably getting 300, you know. But anyway, we're working with them on that. And lastly, we would want to continue the efforts possible to collect all of our outstanding fines and court costs, which is something that I know we're all trying to do right now, and working with the collection agency that was contracted through Metro. And since February of 2011, when we started with them, we have generated, or they have generated for us, right at $90,000. I think it's $89,700 in old fines and costs that were just laying out there, and it's still several $1 million that's uncollected. But I know the criminal court clerk's office, and I know their number probably better than ours, one time said they had $47 million in uncollected fines and costs laying in their back room, and I think ours is somewhere between 3 and 5 or something. But we have, in a little over 2 years, collected right at $90,000, our part of the collection of their efforts. Now what we've done, and I meant to bring one, we've got a new bill of cost letter that we have just implemented. Have you got one? Mm-hmm. We just put together with, we had a meeting just yesterday with Warwick Robinson, Tim Adgett, Judge Crawford, I don't know, several people were in the room, and we met on this new bill of costs that we're going to start. It's got a tearaway on it, and we're going to start handing it to the person the costs are assessed to in the courtroom, whether it be petitioner / respondent, before they leave the courtroom, so they'll have knowledge that day. Take this home with me, and that's how much money I owe, so they don't get blindsided when we start sending them a letter when they don't pay it. And we'd like to collect that on the front end, as opposed to turning it over to the collection agency, which will lose part of the revenue on the back end. So we want to really make a aggressive effort to get those collected before we have to turn them over to the collection agency. At this time, if I could, I'm going to jump out of line here just a second, because I want to emphasize on part of the audit's findings. Rich is very well aware of this, and I know you've probably heard about it as well. In 2010, when I took office, there was an escrow account the infamous juvenile court escrow account that I tried to give Rich back the second week I was in office. I had a meeting over in his conference room with him, and I offered to write him a check for $81,000, and he wouldn't let me do it. He said, you need to find where the money goes, and we at that time were focused on those victims' comp accounts, which we are now
remember that.
handling $1.8 million, which we are current. There's not a child in there over 18 years old that we're holding any money on. I mean, we're good on that. But when Stephanie came on board, Haley had started the process, but this young lady took the ball and ran with it since October. And she, and I'm proud to say this, and I want to applaud her publicly for doing this, $81,772.39, and out of that we paid 47 entitled recipients of child support funds, 47 people that she located through LexisNexis and Facebook and wherever else she could find them. We had a girl come in Monday, I guess it was, and we went up to Judge Rosenberg, or Magistrate Rosenberg's court, and had him sign off a order that we had drafted and presented her a check for $2,700, which was child support that had been paid to her mother supposedly years ago, and the mom had moved and money came back and they dumped it in an escrow account, and that's kind of the way the escrow account was funded. We found out over the years, and this has been going on since back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And so this young lady got a $2,700 check, but there was $28,992 paid out to those 47. $20,000 of it went to the unclaimed property at the state. We had to turn back over. $7,000 of it was submitted to unclaimed property for child support payments for confidentiality on certain parties. And the big number here, $23,433.39, was turned over to the Metro as revenue for victims' comp clerk fees and other previously collected revenues. That won't be reflected in our revenue stream this year, but it was turned over and it's gone. It's somewhere in Metro's coffers now, and our escrow account, which she's very proud of, has a zero balance. So that was one of the findings of the auditor that they also found in '09, and then I inherited in '10, and we've done away with that now. So we're proud of that. Strategic issues, we want to continue placing attention on our bookkeeping area, of course, to strengthen that division. And following the suggestion of the auditor, we have enhanced in our accounting software and our tracking system, which has improved our cash handling and record keeping procedures and will reduce the possibility of fraud in the future. On our 2% reduction, last year, Mayor, we were fortunate enough that you had asked us to cut back on a half of a percentage point, and we that would have been $7,200, and we, after taking away the payments of child support at the window, our bank deposits each day were reduced dramatically. I mean, down to very little. So we were able to cut the services of the Loomis service, and that was actually $7,200, which was a half of a percent is what you had asked for.
That's a good suggestion.
So that's what we cut last year, and we're able to get by with that.
Squirrels get lucky.
But over the past few years, as you well know, I mean, all departments have trimmed and cut, and then everybody says that they work more with less, and I'm not going to be any different. I mean, we're going to say the same thing, but we, over the last few years, have lost 7 positions and about $270,000 in our budget. And at this point, if we were asked to cut the 2%, I don't know of any other alternative at this time except to cut a position. And it wouldn't be a full position. I mean, we could actually, we're looking at $26,000, and by the time you take a position of benefits, you're looking at about 40. So we would lose about a half to 3/4 of a position. Because I know if I ever give that position up, I may not ever get it back. So I'd like to keep half of it.
You're a pretty safe bet.
I'd like to keep half of it if I could.
Wise beyond your years, Mr. Smith.
But other than one other thing I'd like to mention, I want to thank Nancy Whittemore and her staff over at General Services. They are always there for us, and Mayville Carr just came in the last 2 weeks and installed some some hardware speaker systems for us for the hearing impaired at our bookkeeping window, which is something that we had asked for a while back, and we just
That's
want to
good.
thank them for doing that, because it's really been helpful, especially to one of our staff members who wears hearing aids in both ears, and she has trouble hearing the people on the opposite side of the window, so it helps both sides.
Well, that's nice. That's good. Thank you for saying that. Well, thank you. It's a good report. I mean, you've done a lot. I mean, you've just done a lot to turn the place around, and it's very good presentation, very reasonable approach, and we'll do the best we can. But we certainly appreciate everybody in your office and all your hard work and all you've done to move the office forward. So
Thank you very much. They just like to come with me because they don't ever get out of the building. They like coming across the river.
Well, we're glad to have you over on this side. Anytime, feel free to come by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
He didn't ask you if you needed anything.